Hi there, I'm Dean Heskin. Thanks for joining us on our most recent episode of our podcast entitled The Secret War on Cash, as we take a look at some of the things that have been happening in the financial markets, in the financial world. Why is it called The Secret War on Cash? Because it is though your cash, my cash, our cash is under fire. We are at war. And this is a way to not only identify some of those things working against us and perhaps our cash, but also some of the things that we can do to help protect us and our cash. I have with me my co-host, Chris Agelastos. Chris, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice to see you. And we'll get right into it, actually. We've been talking over the last several weeks about the price of gold and the price of metals actually as well. And the reason being is because they have been, from a performance standpoint, doing very, very, very well in the year 2024. And this was really, to a great extent, to be expected or anticipated, in so much as that as we closed out our podcast at the end of last year, we highlighted several brokerage firms, analysts, market forecasters, who are all talking about gold really taking off in 2024. And at the time when it was trading at values of 2,000 an ounce, reaching its highs by the year's end of this year of as much as $3,000 an ounce. And it looks like we're on our way. We're heading that direction. So what I wanted to cover today, Chris, is basically some of the how-tos of getting involved in precious metals. And I think on our screen here, let me see, we have planning precious metals portfolio. That's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to talk about.
Perfect timing.
Perfect timing, perfect placement. CC, our producer, thanks for getting that ready for us. So as you see here, and this is taken directly from Swiss America's website, planning a precious metals portfolio, in the subtitle or subheading there, why precious metals rise. So kind of, if you would, share with us a little bit of, we've been talking about gold moving, but why is it moving, and why might we expect it to continue moving?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's more than one factor, obviously. A big one is just the falling value of the U.S. dollar. I mean, I don't think anyone would be shocked to know that the U.S. has been, essentially creating money since about 2010, pretty aggressively. Printing more and more dollars, and what that does is causes a fall in the value of dollars, and then therefore, things like inflation. So as the dollar falls and inflation climbs, those are two of the big things that push precious metal prices. But of course, there's always manufacturing. A lot of precious metals are used in electronics manufacturing. You hear a lot these days about solar panels and green energy. And there's a lot of silver used in that. Computer chips, right? All of our electronics have computer chips that use gold. So that plays a decent part as well. And then just simply supply and demand. As more and more people want something and the supplies dwindle, prices go up. And so, it's a mix of all of those things and maybe some other small factors too. But I mean, that's the bulk of it.
Well, and those are all things that have become very evident and are very much a reality of our current economy. Geopolitical, the uncertainties, the things that are listed there. You mentioned things with the dollar, the industrial uses. And I, not personally, being in this business now for a little over 32 years, or almost 32 years. I think this year will be 32 years. It's the one thing I can tell you that has changed tremendously in the amount of time I've been dealing in this is gold is actually becoming, or has become, a little bit more in vogue, where way back when it was just kind of like a shunned asset class to some extent. But now, it is gaining the recognition and the involvement of all classes and categories of people when it comes to, where they're investing their money. Yeah. So with this being said, let's kind of get into, you hear buying gold, and to the average person or new investor even that may be looking at this market, what does that actually mean? And the next screen here that we have is going to take a look at, as you see the title, silver, gold bullion, and rare investment coins. The subtitle being platinum, gold, or silver bullion coins. Tell us a little bit more about what the differences are between these different things that you have listed here.
Yeah, well, the first thing I'd like to point out is most of what we recommend for typical people is going to be physical gold and silver, right? So that means it's something you can actually touch and hold in your hand. It's not some sort of gold fund or a mining share or anything like that. It's going to be an actual physical item. Now, that can come in different shapes and sizes and forms. Bullion is a word that a lot of people have probably heard. And typically, what comes to mind are bars. In fact, I've got a couple here I had grabbed. This is a 1 ounce gold bar. A little maybe hard to tell in the image there. This is a 10 ounce silver bar. So when people hear bullion, they typically think of an item like this, right? And these come in bigger and small sizes. These are just a couple of samples that I grabbed. But again, something physical, something tangible that you can hold. A lot of times, people also see images of coins, online or on TV commercials. Silver coins, gold coins. This one just happens to be in a little plastic case here, but these are very, very common. 1 ounce coins seem to be what most people want, the most popular items out there. And then you can even get into collectible coins, coins that are older. These are from the 1800s and the 1900s U.S. Gold coins. They're in sealed cases. They have little serial numbers and barcodes on them. To let people know that they're authentic. And so, these are just a few of the examples. There's other stuff out there, but all of these are physical forms of gold and silver. And it isn't, like there's one good product and one bad product. I know a lot of people watching this are probably new to metals, and that's where we come in and help educate them. And I would say that any of these would probably accomplish 80% of what the average person wants to do. And that final 20% is probably going to be our advisors helping you figure out, is a bar more appropriate or a coin, or should you look at some of the more collectible coins? What are the pros and cons? And for a lot of people, that even means maybe a mix of different products.
Well, and you mentioned most people tend to, seemingly anyways, purchase the 1 ounce denominations. And I know over the years, I've had several prospective clients ask, why that is. And I'm not sure there's an exacting reason for that, but I do know, like, one of the things from a comfort standpoint over the years, especially way back when, years ago, when I first got in the market, gold prices were trading at $300 an ounce.
Yeah.
And I think part of the reason there's that kind of that attraction to the 1 ounce is because that's the most commonly quoted price valuation that you'll see when a person checks on what the price of gold in the overall market is, or the price of silver, or whatever the metal, that's being quoted in the 1 ounce form. And I think that another key that you hit on there, as you talk about bullion, which can be bars, can be coins, coins that have maybe a little bit more of a agedness to them, a scarcity factor, that those tend to be a little bit more investment oriented, meaning because it's an older coin, there's lesser supply of it. Excuse me, lesser supply, so they tend to have a somewhat greater sensitivity to demand factors. And then rare coins are for those people who really just like to get something that is rare or unique, has something historical to it. And they, like, to your point, they all capture different things, or they have different capabilities in terms of their performance. And the key is for those tuning in is, finding what is going to be the best fit for you as it relates to, what you're looking to accomplish in this marketplace. Now, on the next little caption or headline there, let's look at U.S. numismatic coins, the basics. And a numismatic coin, you'll typically see or find is a pre-33 dated gold, silver coin. And more often than not, if you're talking a quality numismatic, it's going to be encapsulated in holders
Mm-hmm.
such as these, like you were just showing. These are both St. Gaudens gold pieces in a grade, where we're at here, MS64. So that tells you what the quality of it is. They're both MS64s. One of them has a date of 1914 in the letter D, meaning it was minted out of Denver, and the other is a 1927. Now, each year there are only they're minted a specific amount of coins, but it would vary each year. And then there is also a survival rate, meaning most of the coins that were minted were intended to be put into circulation and spent as currency back at that time. These, however, because they are MS, mint state, they were never circulated. They were preserved for all these times, and now they've been encapsulated. What's the significance of having coins like these versus, like, for instance, something like bullion?
Yeah, well, there's a few different benefits, if you will. One that you touched on a little bit is scarcity. To use a real world example, I kind of compare coins to cars a little bit, right? If you go out and buy a brand new Corvette today that they're making, hundreds of thousands of them off the manufacturing line, or you have the choice of getting an older collectible, maybe a classic Corvette of a certain year. There's going to be a lot less of those on the market, and the better condition it's in, the more valuable it's going to be. And in that case, even typically people are used to their cars depreciating. But if you have the right classic car and you take care of it, it's probably going to just continue to appreciate. So you can have your foot in a couple of different markets. Obviously, for most of these products, the bulk of the value is due to their metal content. But if you can also have scarcity on your side, it gives you a much more stable product typically.
Sure.
That's really one of the reasons a lot of my clients, lean towards that type of product, because if I can have the same benefit of the growing gold market, let's say, but then I can also have the added benefit of a product that is around in much more limited numbers. It makes it more stable and also gives me more profit potential. So those are some of the common ones. Obviously, privacy too. Some of these coins, even though they're made out of gold and silver, they're really considered collectibles, and that kind of puts them in a different category as far as reporting guidelines and things. And not that any of our clients are really trying to hide their finances, let's say, from anyone in particular, but I think people are so frustrated with the lack of privacy in today's world. I mean,
Right.
Let's face it, that you can probably get online and find out way more about somebody than any of us really wish was accessible. So if there are certain areas of your life where you can have a little bit of added privacy, I think people feel a little bit more secure with that and tend to lean that way.
Sure. Well, and that's, in fact, I used to tell people it's the privacy part of it is trying to keep your business as much your business and only your business as possible. And I think it is very important and critical in today's day and age, where we're seeing the exact opposite of that. Our privacies and our abilities that we have to keep our finances, our own business, and keep it discreet, those are eroding literally by the day. The overall lack of privacy actually it's something that 20 years ago you wouldn't even have imagined to happen. And as you look at these coins too, one thing, again, this being like an MS64, I don't know the exact value of it. I know currently it's trading somewhere in excess of $3,000 for this coin.
Yeah.
And what's important, this one being minted in 1914, as I mentioned, and this one 1927. Let's actually use this one because it's now 97 years old, correct? Yeah. 2024, so it's 97 years old. This coin was worth $20 97 years ago. And a person who had this coin just put it away, pulled it out today without them having to do a single thing, it is now worth over $3,000. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because if you look at, compare it to even something like a stock, the stocks are a good place to have your money. The market can go up and down. There are a lot of factors, just like any other market. But if you look at, like, take the Dow Jones, the original 30 stocks that they began tracking that makes up that average, the Dow Jones, they have gone through several different changes of what companies they're highlighting in order to determine that average. And they base it off of what's relevant in the economy. In some cases, the companies have become obsolete or gone out of business. And in those instances, a person who had their money invested there, that money is gone. Whereas with this, it's a non-encumbered asset. There's no debt tied to it. Like I say, it's very easy to just take that, put it away somewhere safely, not let anybody know what you have and where it's at. And the investment itself, the asset itself, takes care of itself. Meaning, it doesn't rely on profitability or its product becoming obsolete. It's just valued, and it always has been, based upon what it is.
Yeah. So, and it's nice too, to quite honestly, I'm at the point in my life where it's nice to just buy something and sit on it, and let it do its thing and not have to worry about trading and competing with algorithms and computers. And not to say that there isn't a place for that, but I just think that as people, get closer to retirement and they're really looking to safeguard their portfolios, I think simplicity sometimes can be a big benefit. And and that's certainly where, I would say with our company and all of these products that we've talked about, what's unique about us is that, we're big on education. We're going to help you understand the differences and help you really pick what's right for you. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of companies, maybe they'll pick a particular product or a couple of items, and they'll just push that particular item. And again, it's all made out of gold or silver, so for the most part, it's all a good product. But if you can tweak it and get it a little bit better suited to what you're looking to accomplish, I think that's a win-win. Sure,
that's very important. Well, and that brings us to the last visual, what do you want to call it, link to the site that I'd like to cover, which is actually features a video for those of you tuning in of our chairman and founder, Craig Smith. He did this a few years ago, but it's pretty timeless. And that's why I wanted to use it, because for those of you who might even be a little more technically oriented, it has a chart or a graph on there, so you can take a look at that and some of the numbers. But we don't need to really get into it, because you've kind of covered it already, Chris, today. But for those of you who want to visit our site, you can take a look at it, and it kind of gets into the what you're describing about how metals prices perform, and then what you might expect to see based on the historical trends on how some of these coins or items of gold that have a value greater than just their metal, that numismatic type item or that investment type item. It looks at how, what traditionally has occurred, and how you can we've been able to see a better rate of appreciation at the, during some of those up cycles. I mean, is there anything more to that you'd like to share, or should we just send everybody to the site and say, take a look for yourself?
No, definitely check out the site. But I would say probably one of the bigger benefits that I've seen just with my clients over the years is the added stability that they have from a product that isn't just reliant on one market. And that's where a lot of these coins can come in, because people are seeing the gold and silver spot prices probably on the news now or on their computer, and we're making more headlines because there's more movement right now. But there's also been periods of time where there's some downward movements, and when you have a good balanced portfolio, like with any of your investments, the key is to be properly positioned so that the downsides or the down markets don't affect you as much, but you can still gain the growth on the upside. And that's what this video touches on. And of course, reach out to us and speak with our people to be able to, really fine tune it for your situation. But that's really the key, is just getting that education and not just hopping on a website and jumping in with both feet and just ordering a product that you really don't know anything about.
Right. Absolutely. Well, and the reason we wanted to cover this today is that, again, we've been talking about the merits and the benefits of why a person should be diversified into metals right now. We wanted to maybe take a little deeper dive and look at, the various ways that people can do that and why they should do that. In our next podcast, what we're going to do is cover a little bit more specifically the benefits of silver and some of the differences there. So for those of you tuning in today, in fact, if you have not subscribed to this podcast, please do so, and also follow us on social media. But we will, on our next one, as I mentioned, get into a little more deeply about some of the things and differences with investing into actual physical silver. So, thanks for tuning in, Chris. Thanks for being here with us today. And if you have not already contacted our office, please do so at 1-800-289-2646, or you can always visit us online at www.swissamerica.com. Thanks for all the information. It's been great seeing you, and we look forward to our next time. Have a great rest of your day.
Yep. Take care.